Welcome, welcome. Hey guys, it's great to be back. It's been quite a few minutes. We actually had an episode planned that I kind of bailed on just because my health was kind of not doing well leading up into surgery last year. And so another surgery down, another post-op recovery finished, and into the new year, which came in loud. Um, Jenny's been loud already over on YouTube and I'm sure TikTok, which, by the way, you will notice I do not have mine up here anymore. And that's because I got banned back in October. I appealed for over a month. Can't tell you what happened. We don't know what happened.
Nobody knows.
And I refuse to go back. Done. Done. So you can find me on
Shameful.
YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. But most of our stuff is going to be YouTube based. But Jenny's been raging. She has a kitchen spot. If y'all don't know this, you should go over and follow her on her YouTube channel. Same tag, Trans Loving Mama, because she's got some wonderful kitchen recipes for you to try. And that just kind of kicked off where I knew we needed to kind of come in
Yeah.
and steady ourselves because we know that this year is not going to
I would
look
say, Charlie.
better than 2025. It's likely going to look
Yeah.
worse.
And
Um,
if I may, hi,
yes,
I'm
go.
Jenny. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. I'm a little bit on Blue Sky, not really, but I'm also on YouTube as Trans Loving Mama. I am beefing up that channel. I kind of dipped my toe in the water. I have a very small following compared to my other platforms, but my girlfriend Rosemary and I are going to do a bi-weekly show. The first one will drop this week as soon as I'm done editing it, on what to do with our very dysregulated nervous systems. Now, full disclosure, I am not a mental health professional, neither is Rosemary, but we also understand that a lot of people in this hellscape don't have access to mental health professionals. We are bringing what we've learned, what I'm working on with my therapist, as well as her wealth of knowledge on regulating our nervous systems, ways that we can do that, and the true spirit behind self-care, which isn't just, as we've learned, bubble baths and little treats. So I hope you'll join me on there. I hope you'll follow me on my channel. I'm also going to have a great guy who goes by Grimoire, and he's my buddy Derek. He goes by those monikers on things like TikTok and Instagram, and he and I will bring a lot of extra snark where we just kind of complain.
Banter. Yeah.
Dynamic there of being rage filled and bitchy, as well as learning how to like go, okay, let's
It's a little bit of it all, right? And I
have
want
a
to
balance.
acknowledge, like, we've got Cooper has come in, Derek's come in, Charlie's come in, Jeffrey, like, Lisa, like, thank you all for joining us. And yeah, I sent out invites on Wednesday, and honestly, we're not going to do a whole lot more of the invite thing. I'm just going to tell you, please follow the page so you know, but we're definitely going to be on YouTube. I don't know how long we're going to continue to transmit necessarily here on LinkedIn. We do get more interest on YouTube, and other social media platforms. And we still want to be here. We still want engagement, but at the same time, we are looking for those parents. We are looking for those communities who right now are looking for support, who are looking for amplification, who are
Right.
looking for direction.
And the
And
LinkedIn space, let's be honest, has become its own like nasty Facebook Junior in a lot of ways. And
and
on one hand, you don't want to,
this topic is one that is not,
right?
we're not getting the reach.
Right. You don't want to tuck tail and run. It's not like that, but you also just
No,
want to be like, am I going to hang out in a space and I don't know. That's hard.
that's why I left TikTok.
I get
TikTok,
it.
if you're going to bend
Right. Yep. They're about to
what
change
is considered
hands.
freedom of speech, I'm
Yep.
not going to be there. You don't find me on Facebook talking about that topic for that exact reason.
Yeah.
You don't. I make a lot of shorts on Instagram. More of my content actually there is about my missing sister than anything else.
Very
But
understandable.
YouTube, we have our own channel. TransParents has its own channel. That's where all this is going to be. where
So,
Jenny's got her little snarky thing. We actually talked about maybe kicking off a little side thing where we might rant about politics. Because this topic tiptoes, actually doesn't tiptoe, it wades neck deep into this topic.
yeah.
That particular realm is where a lot of stress comes from when we talk about our community. And so acknowledging that, let's kind of go into what tonight's topic is. We're stepping back into a world that hasn't slowed down. The year has arrived loud, chaotic, and demanding, and families are already feeling the pressure. This episode is about grounding, about remembering where we are as we closed out 2025, acknowledging the turbulence we've stepped into, and finding the steadiness we need to protect our children and our community that require clarity and courage. So tonight, let's talk about, or first, let's talk where we ended 2025, especially since I wasn't on for about the last 2 months. We weren't on for the last 2 months of it. Relentless misinformation targeting trans youth that had not stopped. Book bans and curriculum censorship were accelerating. School takeovers and state level power grabs, attacks on healthcare access and community organization, rising hostility from this administration, families exhausted but still standing. So this segment is intentionally short because it's just a reminder. We're not rehashing last year. We can't do anything about 2025. Entering 2026, what's already shifting? 2026 didn't ease in, it burst through the door. Families are already navigating. Right?
Like an ICE agent ready to go, baby. Like, hold on.
Thank you. I figured that you'd like that one. Families are already navigating one, escalating political rhetoric. The administration had sharpened its messaging around parental rights, protecting children, and restoring traditional values. These phrases are being used to justify restricting gender affirming care, limiting school autonomy, expanding surveillance of teachers, and pushing nationalized curriculum standards. Now, Jenny, from a prior teaching aspect or lens, what do you think of just that part right there with the school curriculum?
So, as far as nationalized curriculum standards, I will say that if you just look at that phrase, I am okay with them and have agreed with them. No Child Left Behind was an absolute disaster for reasons, but we do want national curriculum standards, right? We want to know that if my child graduates from an Oklahoma high school, that they can go to a college in,
Right.
whatever state, and that our standards are, that we know what we're trying to prepare our future generations for, whether it is higher education, whether it is something else. So I'm down with that. I think that, obviously the problem being that it becomes, with trans people, this attack on, what is gender, what is biological sex. Do we talk about, different kinds of families? It's so laughable, but it's where we're at.
Right.
I think that there should be national curriculum standards that do address all of our citizens and all of our history, which includes queer history, which includes talking about, if we're going to be talking about health and sex education, which is super, super important. I know from a state that has poor sex education that it has disastrous consequences to not teach comprehensive sex ed. And I do believe that there is space for queer sex ed. It's important. It's happening. Obviously, my issue being that to try to, do these nationalized standards with education, what does that mean, right? Like, what is that national standard? And if the national standard is based in bigotry and not based in science, because homophobia, transphobia, all of that are very anti-science.
Conspiracy theories?
Like, none of that's good for anyone.
No. I find it laughable when I look on Facebook and you see like the Department of Education or Department of Environment or whatever, they're trying to put some spin out, and it's everybody in the comments, like the biggest emoticon on all these are laughing faces because it's become a joke.
Right.
Because how can you tell us anything and say this is based on science when you just gutted science? Like,
Yeah.
make it make sense. You can't
Yeah.
gut the very thing you say you're basing your fact on, because then why are you gutting it? You wouldn't
Yeah.
gut it.
Well,
Yeah,
you look at Dr. Oz, it's finding scientists that, or, science people who will agree with you or who will push whatever it is you want to be pushed. Never mind that the greater entirety of the scientific community has already said what they've said. They've
right.
already made their stance clear. It's out there, but they want these fringe people. I do want
I
to
mean, all
say
the
to
medical
Cooper, if you
associations,
will kind of give us a bit, Cooper, I would love to address that.
right?
Um, just give us a minute. Okay, go ahead, Amber.
Yeah, yeah. I was just going to say, like, we're getting to a point where, again, I think it does become, what standards are you trying to push? What are those standards based on? Like, for an example, like, we know that there are certain historical facts, recent historical facts watched by the entire globe, and yet certain people within the administration would like to rewrite history
Yeah,
and say something we all watched didn't happen in the
right.
way that it happened. It was as visible as 9/11. There was no mistaking 1/6. It's
Does
my
it
child's birthday. It's my child's birthday, my
right.
oldest child's birthday.
Do
And so
you
that has changed forever,
do you find that a little bit fascinating? Because I hear people talk about this time. Oh, news needs to go back to just reporting the facts and no spin on it and whatever. Well, that kind of news really has never existed. We just thought that that's what it was because it was a little less sensationalized. It wasn't
right?
in our faces. We didn't have a 24-hour connection to news and to, independent
We didn't,
journalists,
but
even
see,
to just
we didn't have
regular people.
access either.
So I
We
look
didn't have
at it now and
access
go
either.
like, what weren't we told for decades that was given to us by the news and by the media that we just didn't see
Spoon fed,
the other stuff, right? So it is curious that it's difficult to mess with history when it is happening in real time and when people are willing to go out there, film things live or send us things. Of course, then you've got AI, which is a whole just another catastrophic whatever, but
right?
I find that very
But
interesting.
still, I do think that's part of it right now is it's very hard to bend the truth when we are able to access it 24/7, right?
Mhm.
Whereas when we were young growing up, we didn't know what was going on the other side of the country
Right,
unless you reported it.
right.
Unless you reported it on the news. Otherwise, we had no idea what was going
And then
on.
we just had to
And
trust whatever that
now,
news person reported
right?
on.
And now you can go look for any independent factual base that you want and look for whatever piece of news and whatever piece of the world you want to and make your own decisions about that information
Right.
in real time, whereas we couldn't and didn't have that access. So I do think that worries me, just talking about what that national standard is, because we talked about state standards, in particular Oklahoma. We know for a fact Oklahoma, they wanted to change how they were teaching history, how they were teaching a lot of subjects,
Yeah.
right?
We got a new
And that came from
superintendent.
state level, right? Thank goodness. But if that is pushed at a national level, what
Right.
gets pushed?
And that is
Whoever is sitting at the very top place, that's what gets pushed. And that is not how
it's
our
Linda McMahon.
politics, right? That's not how our politics was built, people. And
Oh,
not that's not. And if it was, we need to rip it down.
yeah.
Um, so another thing, there's been intensified attacks on the trans visibility. We're seeing renewed pushes to ban trans athletes, attempts to criminalize supportive parents, targeted harassment of trans creators and public figures, coordinated misinformation campaigns on social media. So this targeted harassment of trans creators, that was like all my content on TikTok. Because the only difference, Jenny and I had a much different base. Jenny has way more following than I do. Like, shoot, your following had to be probably hundredfold mine.
It's I think it's 160 now. Thousand.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you had at least probably 10, 12 times what I did. At least, right? And I was banned. But we put
Yeah.
out every week this
Yeah.
episode tonight, I would have split into two pieces and I
Right.
would have posted on TikTok. And Jenny didn't. but all of 62 of our episodes were on TikTok.
Yep.
And when they first started, because I'm starting to see people who are talking about they do videos on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And if they talk about trans stuff all the time, they're beginning to see their things limited. Whereas because we actually put out our podcast episode, I think that's why they pulled mine immediately.
Probably.
As soon as they made those changes, I was like one of the first ones that no matter what I did to appeal, that nope,
Yeah.
they wouldn't even tell me what I did.
No.
And typically that's something they'll tell you, like this video, this comment. They wouldn't tell me anything. They were like, your account is banned. It's just banned. Period. It's banned. We reviewed it and it's banned. And it's like,
Yep.
and I've like appealed like 17 times, like, can you give me the reasoning? Why? And I could never get anything back. I mean, I'm going to tell you, and now I'm seeing like my Instagram people talking about how their TikTok pages are now being censored and they're seeing that over there. So yeah, I wasn't going back. And so this is again about trans visibility. And all we are parents trying to talk about our kids deserve to be able to have the same space as everyone else, the same rights as everyone else. They're American citizens. There's no reason why they shouldn't. They're both adults. Again, there's no reason for anybody to get pushback, but they're
Right.
going to get it anyway. So education as the battleground. Schools, again, remain the front line. New proposals to expand book bans to digital platforms. Pressure on districts to report gender nonconformity. Increased scrutiny of counselors and mental health staff. And attempts to dismantle DEI initiatives entirely. 4, community resilience is rising in parallel. Despite the chaos, mutual aid networks are growing, parent groups are organizing across state lines, youth-led movements are gaining momentum, and more families are refusing to be intimidated. So 2026 is turbulent, but we're not entering it powerless. Segment 3. So let's take a minute, pause, breath, a reminder that grounding isn't optional. It's survival. Taking a few minutes for yourself, like whether you have to turn off social media for a day, a week, so that you can make sure that you have the energy to keep going for your kid is like vital. And it's not just for your kid, it's for you. And for our bigger community, if you're dealing with this as an adult and whether you're in the workspace, whether you're worried about where you live, leaving your home, there's a lot of questions right now for everyone. So in particular, I'll call out Minneapolis. If you're a brown trans person in Minneapolis right now, I can't imagine the fear that you feel and how much fear that you face going outside your door,
In a
or
state where
that
people are
somebody's going to break
feeling
in
they're
through your
feeling
door.
more safe.
Right? I mean, and that's the thing. This is a state that they were safe, right? Like and
For sure.
I mean, this is kind of why it's been
But that's the
targeted,
thing, right? The target is at those states that are doing that. So it
right?
becomes a comply in advance thing. I do want
Well,
to also
it's
say,
obey.
right,
So there's supposed to be freedoms here, guys,
right.
but it's obey or else.
Yes.
That's not freedom.
No.
Um,
Freedom.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely not freedom at all. So let's talk about some just in case. I'd like to start off with some wins.
Let's have some.
Mackenzie Scott, Mackenzie Scott, and her $45 million donation to the Trevor Project. This is the largest single gift in the organization's history, arriving just as federal funding has been cut. The stabilizing force for crisis services. Major Medicaid organizations are still standing firm. The AMA, AAP, APA, Endocrine Society, and the AACAP continue to affirm gender affirming care is evidence based and essential. No reversals, no wavering. So, regardless if a hospital decided, hey, I'm going to capitulate, that doesn't mean that the medical associations have said this is based on crack science. It's not. We don't make changes in science without a lot of science and review. Notice that just this weekend, I believe, or at least end of this week, the acetaminophen review that came out that said that it's perfectly safe to take during pregnancy after RFK Jr. went out and said it's not. even though we had had tons of science that had said, hey, guess what? As pregnant women, this is like the only thing that we know that you can take that's safe.
Yeah.
And he reverses it, and the study they go and get to review it comes back and says, oh yeah, it's checks notes. It is safe.
Still safe. Just like we said before, it doesn't cause autism. Please stop.
Please continue to listen to the major medical associations, okay?
Please. Please.
Not them. Not right now. Please. Look at the measles cases. We're about to lose our measles exempt status here as a country because of this
I know.
kind of stuff.
I don't even know if I've had a measles vaccine.
You
Yeah,
have.
maybe I have.
Your MMR.
Yeah, okay.
Measles, mumps,
But only,
rubella.
you know, like, do I need a second measles vaccine? I don't know. My
You
kids
probably had a
theirs
booster as an
at 20.
adult. You probably had a booster around 18, 20, somewhere around in there.
I doubt it. Do you know what I was doing at 18 and 20 years old? But here's the thing. My daughter ended up, because her second MMR vaccine wasn't logged by the State Department. She did have it. I
Mm-hmm.
have it on like a, you know, how they give you little cards, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
logged within the state thing. So in order to continue with her pharmacy tech job,
She had to go get
she
it.
had to go get a booster.
Oh, for nursing school. For nursing school, we actually, my records were in a town that I guess the local hospital system had been bought out. And so older records had been moved into like a warehouse. This is before everything was put on electronic, right? So finding my records, my vaccine records from my old like pediatrician, they were like, so we can like take you into a warehouse with someone, schedule an appointment time, and you can dig through the warehouse.
Okay.
And the other option is you get blood titers. You go and get tested, and it tests the level of your immunity, right? So I elected to do blood titers for all of my information. But again, that was just like making it more difficult to find something. And yeah, same thing to find my MMR. I can't remember if I had to get another one because I didn't hold that one, and then I think there was a Hep series that I didn't hold. I'd already had it. That's just my wonky immunity. But yeah, that science, guys, please trust the people that were doing science way before the people now that say they're science.
Doesn't mean science doesn't learn and grow.
Right?
But it's the best tool we have.
I want this.
Yeah.
Please use it wisely. LGBTQ representation gains. Kansas elected another openly trans lawmaker. A reminder, representation is growing even in conservative states. And I didn't even get a chance to write this one in because it happened yesterday. And I did these notes like Friday night, I think. But Virginia's governor that just came in, just rolled back, has already put things in to protect the LGBTQ or communities within schools. Like there's like two things I think that actually affect them that she's already put back or trying to push through that she's like, nope, we're not doing that. Little movements like this, they matter. And sometimes just holding on to those little things to keep you going it's really key to keep the momentum, especially like when you have really bad news. With
There's
the
a
good
lot of
situation.
I think, you know, for us, when, you know, something happens 8-10 months later, and my dad will say, well, see, Jen, I told you there's checks and balances. You just got to wait. And I'm like, people are deceased. People have deceased over this in the last several months. The wheels of justice, and justice meaning at any level, turn slowly, and justice delayed is justice denied. Right. And so great that those checks and balances finally come into place, but at what cost?
Right.
You know,
how much harm was done in the meantime?
There's so much frustration in this, like, well, we just have to wait on our representatives. And that is why you're seeing people take to the streets. There's no time, you know, it either needs to happen and people who we've elected need to step up and do what they're supposed to do, or you create a situation in which people do have to take matters into their own hands. And I don't know about you, but I don't feel like going out and, you know, I don't feel like it, right? I don't feel like risking my life, but I will. I don't feel like carrying in an open carry state that I live in, but I will. I got myself a cute little carry bag. I will
Not
do
me.
what it takes.
Not me.
I don't want to know what happens if somebody pounds on my door. I don't
Right.
want to find out, but I guess I will. So our elected leaders, those who have said that they are on the side of trans people, have got to stop, in my opinion, doing this whole little dance that they do where they go, well, we just need to look more into that. Well, there are some concerns.
No.
It is very easy to say, I do not stand for attacks on transgender people. Yes, there are things that we need to talk about, but you are talking about 1% of the population. We are attacking them. That is not okay with me. And there are other things to focus on. We need to turn those attacks off and focus on the things that matter to the American people. But stop.
I'd like to see data. I know this is totally irrelevant, but for those out there, I'd like to see the data between the number of trans people who do harm to other individuals compared to the number of Jeffrey Epstein victims.
Girl, you don't even need to see that data. Come on.
Right? No, that's what I'm getting at. But that's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's enough. There is so, in other words, there is so much out there on the Epstein case, but what is being hit? Let's buy Greenland. Let's bomb Mexico. Let's bomb Venezuela. Hey, let's sweep their president up, kidnap him, and bring him back to our country. Let's threaten tariffs on everyone. Let's drop bombs in Nigeria. Let's drop bombs in I can't even speak.
Like,
drop bombs in Syria. Like it is. You want to talk about protect the rights of those to protest in Iran? Ironically, when you're after the people who are out here protesting in America,
in our country, yep.
And you're turning our military on us. And I'm going to say this right now. I am the former wife of an 82nd Airborne Division paratrooper. And the thought that you're thinking about activating a unit and sending them in to Minnesota.
Yeah.
As the daughter of a vet, as the granddaughter of multiple vets. I cannot. This is against what that oath that they take is for. It is for the Constitution, not to the person beholden on his little throne. Please remember your oath. Please remember your duty to the Constitution and to the American people.
Agreed.
I've talked about that. There's a march that I'd like to join at the end of February. And if I can, I will. But yes. Jeffrey.
I'm regulating my nervous system right now.
He's got, ironically, with Iran.
Yeah, I knew, because I knew as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, I love that.
Right. And I believe that they should have their rights. Like, don't get me wrong, they should have their rights. But I don't. This group in particular, who's been after our group of children,
right,
screamed America first for I don't know how long, and I don't see anything being done for here.
Right. Well,
since somebody called out Epstein files, since the Epstein files got released, actually before that, remember? Before that, since they've been mentioned, this man has done nothing but threaten other countries and talk about war this and war that. And I'm the peace man. I'm the peace man. Let's attack another country. I'm the peace man. Let me buy another country. I'm the peace man. Enough.
Yeah, enough is enough. And I think we're seeing, at least I am seeing more and more, especially moderates. I think, true blue MAGAs, it's a whole deconstruction for them. But more moderates are the ones too
are moving away,
that are going, whoa.
Right?
I'm like, yeah, welcome. Y'all are so afraid of the thought that anybody might say you're left. So you want the safety of this moderate label. Well, this is what that's getting us.
Right.
It really is. And a lot of people are sick of hearing it. Oh, don't blame those of us who voted for Jill Stein, and don't blame those of us who didn't show up to vote. I'm not going to say I blame. There's too many moving parts. But this
I mean,
trying
I'm just beyond
to
that.
live in this
I'm not
middle
even
ground.
I'm not even beyond or there yet now. I'm
Right.
like, you know what? If that's where y'all are at, you drew your line in the sand. The rest of us are going to keep working to make this better.
Right.
That's what this was
We
supposed
gotta
to be.
go. But staying in this middle ground is a big reason why we're here. Neutrality, this is not Nazism is not the place for neutrality. Like, it's just
I
not.
can't remember the names. I'm going to get it wrong. I can't
It is
remember. I
unbelievable.
believe it's a scientist that got it for physics that gave his award, his Nobel Peace Prize award
Sure.
to
Yeah.
Goebbels. And I need you to remember that and what just happened last week. It's right in front of your face. It's right in front of your face. And this is going to lead up into what we talk about next week.
And
Because
to
if you
stop
weren't around
acting like
last year for El
everything is
Dorado,
benign.
we're going to talk about El Dorado again next week. And
Right.
you're going to see a repeat of why we're
Right.
talking about this and why it's not, you can't be a moderate. You can't sit on the fence. You've
You just
got to move.
or you can, but wow. What that I would be embarrassed. Yeah, I'm there with you, Cooper. And I'm here to tell you, I watched somebody recently really break down like liberalism versus leftism, and through it kind of comparing different people, I discovered I am farther left than Bernie, which was pretty shocking to me because the way I was raised with this very anti-socialist, anti-leftist
Right, right,
ideology is that Bernie was just as left as you could be, right?
right.
And so to discover that, I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, I'm learning things about myself every day. But in 2015, I was definitely a moderate. I was barely left of moderate. I was still like, there's a way to make capitalism work. I'm not at that point anymore. I'm not saying anybody else has to be or that anybody's unwelcome in the space. If you still think, I mean, I'm much more of a democratic socialist. So capitalism still works within that. But, I wouldn't mind if it, I'd prefer it all went to the ground. But here we are. We've got to work with what we've got, right?
Right.
Yeah. Welcome to the
Well,
party. Yeah, they might
right.
not have thought she was left enough, but I would agree with that. But we'd
Mm-hmm.
be in a much better position today.
Than we are now.
I do.
But I don't think knew that we were going to go. Some
We
of us
didn't?
didn't think we were. Some of us didn't believe we were going to go this way. I'm going to
Yeah,
go ahead and say
I
right
would agree
now,
with that. And I
that
think
wasn't
that's more
me. The
of that
writing was
moderate
there.
vote. Yeah, those moderate voters definitely did not see this. It was really just a lot of, oh, you're being hyperbolic. You can't call everybody Nazis. People like my family who say that, still want to write off a lot of things he does as these little flippant things. Like he's just
Right.
being, I don't want to say it like he's just joking, but like he's just being Trump. And you cannot just take the things that he says and go, well, that's dumb. And think, well, there's going to be checks and balances, because we have not seen that play out. You have got to start believing what is in front of you. You have to start believing what you can see and hear.
And for that, resistance is strengthening, not shrinking. National reporting shows queer organizing is expanding. Youth-led groups, mutual aid networks, and cross-state coalitions are gaining momentum. 5. Anti-trans laws are still being challenged in court. Legal resistance remains active, slowing, blocking, or complicating harmful legislation across multiple states. These wins matter. They remind families that even in turbulence, we are not losing ground, we're still gaining it. It may be in micro steps right now, but you got to take what you can.
Yeah.
This
Everything builds
time,
on itself.
right?
And it works more if all of us find a way to contribute to it.
Right.
We're all very busy. We're all very tired. The 24/7 news cycle is a lot, but if
Right.
most of us can throw $5 a month at an organization. They
Yeah,
do want to get rid of them.
they do want to get rid of checks and
I
balances.
agree,
Like
Cooper.
he doesn't want any checks and balances, Cooper. Like he just believes that he is the only checks and balances.
Cooper. Cooper.
Right, right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
I
it,
know.
Jeffrey. I love it.
I think he sent me stuff in well, I've had lots of messages.
Yeah,
Yeah, ADD brain guys,
a
and
lot.
brain fog from surgery, and yeah, I'll get to them sometime. I do what I think is, and my time is best spent. So if it's like sitting here, then that's where my time is, right?
Yeah.
Empty social media, like I said, like putting out the energy to put out all the invites to the event when LinkedIn is going to bury it anyway, is kind of like, why?
Yeah.
You'll look forward if you want to find us, Sunday nights, and
And it does
that's
pop up, but it's good to see,
right. It
you
pops
have
up, and y'all can share it. So like that's how we'll do it
help us out.
going forward. But what parents can expect this year? Here is kind of a practical, grounded look at the months ahead. Policy battles will intensify. Expect more state level bills targeting trans youth, federal proposals designed to intimidate, and legal challenges that will take time to resolve. Confusion is a tactic. Clarity is resistance. Schools will feel the pressure. Families may see teachers afraid to speak openly, principals enforcing vague or contradictory rules, counselors limited in what they can say, libraries shrinking their collections. Check with your local public libraries. Some of these tend to be way more, and I didn't put a list of them, but there are a couple of resources like big libraries. Like in New York, I know there's one that you can get any book you want for free because it's access to public education.
Yeah,
Um,
your local library has things like Libby if you're not so much into reading. I
right,
really suggest buying banned books. Stay on top of the books that they don't want in these libraries. Buy them. People start those little libraries right out front of their homes. If you are worried about things getting stolen, there are ways to get these books into the hands of
right,
your communities, into the hands of other people. There are ways to do that.
right.
But
Not
I
like
love that you said our local libraries because another
right,
socialist thing that we're doing, that we have been doing in this country for so long and nobody ever had a problem with until now, is everybody having access to reading materials.
right,
And then, more recently, internet.
right. So that you have access to, again, more material. Parents can prepare for building relationships with teachers, attending school board meetings, documenting interactions, connecting with local advocacy groups. Healthcare access may shift depending on your state. Wait lists may grow, clinics may face new restrictions, insurance coverage may change. There also can just be, in general, delays. And I will say this, that just because of some rules that got implemented at the beginning or at some point last year that then flipped back, that then went forward again, I've had trouble with my own insurance in the last 2 months trying to get an MRI just to get the approval for it. And like that's because I have like numbness, tingling, change of gait, balance issues, vision issues. So all of these signs are like neurological, and my neurologist requested it, and we're still waiting.
Still
Like
having
I had to go have an EMS and get stabbed with like the needle for the muscle test like last week, and then go in back to her office to see her again. And we're hoping this time that's enough information for them to finally push it through. Yeah, yeah. So expect lots of red tape. Families can, in advance, secure copies of your medical records, identify backup providers in case yours change, and join parent networks for resource sharing. Community will matter more than ever. Isolation is dangerous. Connection is protective. We encourage parent support circles, youth meetups, online communities, and cross-state alliances. This is a roadmap for parents not to scare you, but to equip you. How to stay steady in a turbulent year. This is the emotional and strategic toolbook. Protect your child's joy. Joy is not frivolous. It's armor, it's medicine, it's resistance. Practice selective attention. Not every headline, this is what I talked about earlier, not every headline deserves your energy. Not every argument deserves your breath. Not every crisis is yours to carry. Ask, is this mine or is this noise? And even if it is yours that particular day, if you already feel like you're carrying too much, it can wait. It can wait.
What I have learned more and more about, it takes 20 minutes of actually doing something with the intention of calming a dysregulated nervous system for it to actually work. It takes that long for your liver to actually process the kind of chemicals that are involved in that emotional, physical, mental, like, calm down, because your cortisol is way up, your hormones are way up, all of those things are going cuckoo bananas whenever you're in that anxiety state. So taking 5 minutes for yourself is great, and I absolutely encourage wherever you can get it, but it is 20 minutes at least of sustained with intention, and that is putting the phone somewhere else. That is listening to some
Right.
lo-fi. That is whenever I was here and I felt myself getting anxious in the talk, I'm making something for somebody, and I picked up my paints. And it's not to be rude and not look in the camera, but just to take a minute and go, wait a second, I'm right here. I am right here. But you have to be intentional with it. Because if you're just gonna, I'm gonna soak in a hot bath, but I'm gonna have my my Instagram pulled up and looking at all the terrible
You're still
stuff,
freaking out. You're freaking out in the bathtub.
you're still inviting it in, right? So it does have to be very intentional.
Yeah, I think at this point, I've learned to regulate mine to the point that, like, for the most part, it just doesn't, I don't allow that space in. Like, the second I'm like, no, that's noise. I don't need to let that in
Oh
today.
God,
I kind of shut it off. No, like I last year was a lot of, again, it's all a learning curve. And last year I learned that I couldn't suck into every single headline.
Yeah.
And we can't suck into every headline. We don't have the
Absolutely.
energy or the capacity for that. So I learned to figure out, okay, where can I put my energy? Where is it best to put my energy today, or in this moment, or in this actual argument, right? Like, is this an argument for me? Is this an argument for somebody else? Like, that asking, pausing, and kind of asking yourself, is this mine
Yeah.
or is this someone else's? Just working with clients and high stress, high trauma, that was something that I used to not be able to regulate either. And I realized, not necessarily early on, but I realized at a moment that this isn't mine. All this that I'm upset, this isn't mine. These are the people that I'm helping, and I'm allowing that to kind of overwhelm me. And I need to, like, put that back into the space that it belongs. And so that is a good regulation mode for me now. If I feel like I'm even beginning to get out of regulation, it's like, okay, what is it that I didn't address, and I need to either move closer or move away from it. Right? That's kind of how I naturally work on it. So building your circle before you need it. Community is not an emergency response. It's infrastructure.
Yeah. Oh, I love
We
that.
encourage families to identify their 3 people, create group chats, share resources, plan ahead. So if somebody needs to roll out, if somebody needs to just get access to healthcare, you have plans, you have options in place. You have go-tos. Think of it as your go-to bag. If you talk to a lot of people who do search and rescue, we have what are called, and actually a lot of conspiracy theorists do this too, they have a go-to bag, which means if the world it comes to an end, your bug out bag, grab your bug out bag, right? Like, this is kind of your go-to bag for this. All right. Rest
Not
as a
to incite
strategy.
panic, but I don't think a bug out bag or a bug out guide is necessarily a bad thing. Like, I used to make fun of it, and I'm thinking now it's probably a good idea.
No, my children are kind of like, do we know how to grow things? Do we know how to clean water? Like, they're already thinking of these things, like right now in 2026 and in the last few weeks. They're like, do we know how to do this? These are things we need. These are skills we need.
In 2026.
And these are our 20-year-olds, right? My mid 20-year-olds are thinking of this right now.
Rest is a strategy, not a luxury. Burnout is what the administration is counting on. Rest is refusal. Rest is rebellion. Rest is how we stay in the fight. Remember your power. Parents are the most influential force in a child's life, and collectively, they are the most powerful force in the country. We just have to rally around one another and remember that. And the confusion and the chaos and that noise that's been going on is meant to make us panic. It's meant to like set off all our fight or flight. It's meant to make everybody want to flee. It's made to make you want to hide. It's done to make you quiet. Don't. Simple as that. Don't. So for me, yeah. What did we carry for 2025 into this year, and what are we choosing to leave behind? That was kind of like my thing I was thinking about. So for me, I just remember that was probably my biggest thing, what I mentioned a minute ago, that I just learned that sometimes I don't have to take all of it on, that I can't take every little, like this show. We want to cover everything we can, and sometimes my want to meet every request becomes a massive overwhelm because we can't do it all. It's absurd to think that we could do it all. And so
100%.
learning to go, okay, I can't,
Yeah.
and letting it go.
Yep.
That was last year. I just, yeah, there's
I
no,
think that was true for me too. I think, we both experienced some,
right?
I don't know. Nothing's ever like a comparison or competition or anything, but there's some obvious nuance and differences. But that grief, confusion, and emotional dysregulation, physical dysregulation
Right.
is really a big part of it. And I learned how to say, I'm just going to focus on my mom, and I'm going to do that and not
Right.
feel guilty about it. Because there were moments when people needed me and there was nothing I could do but say, you're going to have to reach out to somebody else. Maybe I can direct you that way. But sometimes in those more intense moments, there's nothing I can do except say, I can't right now.
Right.
And learning how to say that and going, that was okay. Nobody died as a result, at least that I know of. So yeah, kind of taking that with me and going, it is okay to center myself on, it's kind of like triage, right? Sometimes you got to triage. Sometimes the immediate need is this.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean I don't care about the other needs.
Right.
I will get to them as soon as I can. Or learning intersectionality. When we talk about, right now, like there's all this going on in Minnesota and there's all this going on as far as
Right.
like ICE agents and brown people. Remembering that the intersectionality of that is there are Black and brown trans people in the midst of that.
Right.
What are the organizations right there? Because there's plenty going on that's brought attention because of the attention to ICE. And I love that. Wait a second. Let's not forget there are trans people up in that mix. What's the local organization that's able to help them or that is committed to helping them? And how can I contribute to that? It sounds so silly, but I'm telling you, $5 a month goes a long way when a lot of people do it. It's just me.
I had an interesting, one of my people that they follow, if you're one of those that likes to get active into the street, if you want to go do that and you want to go protect trans people, go put on MAGA hats and go guard them then. Go stand up against ICE and MAGA hats. I dare them to air that on Fox News. I dare them to air that somewhere else.
Because you don't actually want to feed that thing.
No. Well, actually, I heard this. Just wear red. Wear red hats. Like they were like, by the time they get up so close, they won't know. They will already think, "Oh, this is a supporter."
Puff paint.
When you're not.
When we do that, we would like
the glitter paint. There you go.
Do puff paint.
Hell, you don't even have to do that. Get a black Sharpie.
Yeah. Amen. There you go.
Big, wide, black Sharpie. Right? It's real easy to do. So yeah, there's some little tips of resistance for you. Yeah. I got spicy last week. What can I say? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So as far as this goes, what are you, I guess that was your big thing. What are you wanting to like carry forward into this year?
Definitely,
into 2026.
like I said, more of the regulation of my nervous system, because it's not something I've ever really learned how to do. And I think I've kind of dabbled in it kind of maybe by accident, but I've
Right.
never really been that intentional with it. And I want to do that. And I want to provide that space for more people to know what that is and maybe give us all opportunities to kind of share some ideas. Um, because there's so many ways that you can channel all of your feelings into something that at least regulates your nervous system, but you can make some ice art, right? You can, and making art. I sit here and I paint now all the time and I say, well, I'm not an artist, but that's not true. I create art. I'm making this for a friend. I am an artist. You are an artist of some kind and you just don't know it. It might be the
Right.
culinary arts. It might be musical. It might be, I don't know, stand-up comedy. It could be watercolor. It could be anything. It could be out in the backyard planting things, but find that place and to just encourage other people to do that. As a part of activism, you
Right.
know, that is super important to me.
That's part of my, I guess that would be what I call grounding. And that
Yeah,
I just, that's kind of that space that's just my space. It's only
yeah,
mine. I'm very active, meaning, no other thought, the stress, everything else is out. It blocks everything else off.
it does.
Um,
And
and
it can
that's kind of
document
where I find that regulation, that
it. Yeah,
balance, right? And
yeah,
it sucks because with the stuff going on with my body, I just really have not been able
right.
to gardening, everything that I used to do all the time really got kind of just nixed. And my
Yeah,
allergies have picked up to a point that if anybody decides to burn in my neighborhood, I'm just pretty much just
you're toast,
I'm
huh?
not going outside. I'm not going outside.
Right.
They actually, my neighbors were burning not today, but I think a couple of days ago, and it was blowing the way it was blowing. It literally, but even without like my kid even taking the dog out the back door, you could smell it
Yeah.
seeping into the house.
Oh,
And whenever my mother was like, "Your eyes are
yeah,
swollen," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's the burning." And she was like, "You went
burn.
outside?" I'm like, "No, that's inside. Take
Yeah,
some meds. Already have." Um, yeah, it's the
yeah,
amount of antihistamine I'm on. It's rather ridiculous at this point that I even react, and I still do. I did in my nerve study the other day. Like the doctor like scratched the arm because he was like, "Oh, you have MCAS." He was like, "Okay, so then that means you're on lots of antihistamines." And I was like, "I'm on this and this and this and this," and he was like, "Wait, that's a new one. I haven't heard of that one." I'm like, "That's more like." It's more of a natural supplement, but it hits your H2 receptors for your antihistamines. Anyway,
oh,
and he was
we
like,
need to
"What?"
talk about
He's
that
like,
after.
he's like, "You were all covered then." And then he scratches my arm, and he's like, and I like reacted, and he was like, "Oh, well, almost." And I was just like, No,
There's
this
no
is what
cure,
I'm
dude.
talking about, right?"
Yeah,
There's
there's no
not
cure.
enough Benadryl to dump in my system anymore, I don't think, or all the other things that I take. Um, but we are getting close to the end. Jenny and
Yeah.
I have got to follow back up. There was somebody we were going to bring back on last
I do
year
want to
toward
address
the
your
end of the
first
year.
comment. We had it put up
Yes,
a
go, go,
little
go.
bit ago, so I'm trying to find
Hold on.
it. Did you see? Yes, I found
Um,
it because
yeah, I
I
did. Hold
promised
on.
you would do this. Did you see
Okay.
the elected official getting grilled on whether men can get pregnant? Wasn't that a cisnormative imposition? It is. And we're all of these things, just like if I ever go live on TikTok, one of the first things that people come in if they want to bother me is say, "What's a woman?" They never say what's a man, ever. It's
No.
always a woman. And, I've learned to brush them off and go, a woman is who says she's a woman. A woman is an experience. Womanhood is not just this anatomical thing. Thanks for playing. But it's always those little trigger things that are supposed to outrage people because anybody's, even
Mm-hmm.
mine, my first reaction or my first beat in my head that comes in when somebody says, "Can a man get pregnant?" is no, because it just is. I've been conditioned to believe that men are this way and only this way, and the only time pregnancy. But I know, well, yeah, my son can get pregnant. My son has a uterus. It's pretty unlikely because of how long he's been on testosterone, but of course he
Right.
can.
Right.
Furthermore, I my girlfriend who is doing these YouTubes with me, she talks about she's very, very spiritual. And she talks about this divinity that has been suppressed about women and womanhood and like the uterus envy that is in men when we were always told it was penis envy. that there's this uterus envy of not being able to create life. And so then
I
there's further
wholeheartedly believe that.
outrage.
Why do you think we're not allowed to be in charge? Why we've
Right,
never been in
right.
positions of power?
But there's
But
this,
but
that
we're the ones
outrage
that can create
extends
life and they
then.
can't.
So then the outrage extends to trans men, because it's like, how dare they call themselves this, but be able to do this? It's all just, it's all philosophical at that point, but it's still super interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's the kind of things they say to target people and make people go, well, no, without really thinking, without thinking.
I think I mean, we've gotten to a place where, for example, the leader of our nation, go look at what he's writing about in the middle of the night.
Oh my God, did you see that True Social post? It's like, sir, I'm so grateful that other people read it and summarize it, because I'm like, I can't hear him, I can't see him, I can't read it.
I don't even remember which one anymore.
Oh, it was one from, I don't know, either last night or the night before.
Is this the one where he was alone in the dark or something?
Yes. And it was just the longest tirade of nonsense.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody help Papa. And my dad talks about how we hid Biden's mental decline.
Right? No, I'm done with that conversation. Like, if y'all have that, look, the man is not president anymore. Can you concentrate on the guy who is leading our country, who does have access to the nuclear codes? Could we focus on that, please? Not the former, the past. Let me give y'all a clue. 2025, can't do shit about.
Yep.
Done. Over.
What can we learn from it?
That's it. That's it. You cannot reverse it. We can't do over. There is no magic button. Forward.
That Walsh cough. Oh my God.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, you made Jenny lose it. But I mean, that's so. Looking like, for example, what he mentioned. So next week we are. I told Jenny, we've got a guy that was supposed to come on 2 weeks from now. I'm planning. I got to reach back out to him and make sure. But he was going to come on before the end of last year. Who works with a network to help people get out of unsafe areas and move to safer areas, and that is something that we want to do ourselves, but also that we would like to help promote people do. And so that was somebody that we were going to bring on. But before we do that, we actually are going to review a topic that we did last year. And last year we did a episode on called El Dorado, and that was based off a Netflix documentary that had just been released that looked back at the burning of all the pretty much research of the Sexual Institute in Germany, of Magnus Hirschfeld. And he had been studying, I think, 20, 25 years of research on gender, on trans people, on helping people align. And guess where it was? In Germany. This was the first set of burns. We talk about book burnings. The very first burning was of this information.
Absolutely.
And since it seems to us, for some reason, that many people have forgotten what happened in 1930s Germany, we figured this would be a good time to review the topic, so that we can remind you who was targeted first, why they were targeted, remind you of tactics.
What you can do.
Right?
Because we are not helpless.
Nope.
We are not without ability. Every single one of us, able-bodied, not able-bodied, every last one of us can do something.
Right?
Just pick a thing and do it.
Right? So, I guess to end tonight's episode, I had this thing that I'm writing more for a lot of different reasons, but I'm writing more. And this was something I had actually written, and I kind of found it in the notes and then kind of revamped it. But the rain doesn't ask if the ground is ready, it simply falls, and the earth decides how to hold it. We are that earth. We choose what to absorb, what to let run off, and what to channel into rivers strong enough to carry us all. The work ahead is not a sprint. It's the steady carving of stone by water, the quiet persistence of roots beneath frost. We will keep moving, keep shaping, keep loving in ways that outlast the storm. Tiny ripples, waves, tsunami of love. Advocacy is not extremism. It is love in action. And love is never a crime. I don't know if that becomes this year's motto
I
or
love that.
what, but loving our kids isn't a crime. And we shouldn't have to come out
Loving our
here and
fellows,
defend them, right?
right? Loving our fellow humans,
Our fellow Americans,
our fellow
born,
non-Americans, our fellows.
anyone, fellow human beings.
Love is just a radical and beautiful part of resistance.
Right, right. And we
Jeffrey, gotta
welcome
love
you back here to this space where sometimes it doesn't feel like we're all about love. There is quite a bit of spice involved here.
As you will, if you're new to this, you will soon learn.
But that's part of it. We're not serving platitudes
Well, Barack,
to you.
glad that you came. I don't know that I pronounced your name correctly, but it is a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, it's been a while. It's been quite a while. And then we had another one up there who had asked if we were late, if they were late. And
I
I'm
think that was
not
actually
sure.
from somebody on YouTube. Well, that's okay.
It's from YouTube, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure who that one is. Like I don't recognize sorry. And it's been quite a minute since we've been on. So maybe that I'm just not recognizing who that is attached with the username is the deal. And if so, I apologize. Our apologies. But yeah, thank you for coming back to our show. And like I said, we are planning on being here. This is the space to be on Sunday nights. And if you can't catch us now, like I said, you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on LinkedIn. And I will be, again, we are still on Spotify. You can find the audio, if you want, on Spotify. So with that, guys, we're going to roll out, but we will see y'all next week.
Love you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.